Nah, I know the planets align, this shit be cosmic, but what's a retrograde to a renegade in the projects? My mindset is to avoid most nonsense and don't comment on issues that I don't vibe with.
What's up with it? It's your boy Noonie. It's Leo in the third house, and we back with another read.
Yo, what's up with it? This your boy Noonie, and it's Leo in the third house, back with another reading. This is going to be another pick a card reading. We're going to be asking a question. What assumptions do people make about you? All right, this isn't a new topic. This is something I've seen around. You know, I just never did it, but I was curious, and it's a good time now to ask, so that's why we're doing it. You know, everything doesn't need an explanation, but sometimes there's like a background story that I like to put out there. It just adds a little bit more to the thinking process and the creative processes. You know what I mean? I do it for my creatives, for the people who be like, man, I don't have any ideas. I don't know what to do. I give you a little bit of my thinking processes so that way you can see like, okay, let's branch off of that. Because that's all creativity is, branching off of somebody else's work and making it your own. You know what I mean? Using what skills and traits you're very good at and then amplifying those plus the idea or inspiration you've gotten from others. I don't know why I felt the need to tell y'all that, but I know I got a lot of creatives that watch me, a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of independent thinkers, philosophers, deep thinkers, you know, wise people, sages, just a whole slew of different people, even people from the streets. Yeah, what's up with you? All that good stuff. I think that's it, y'all. I got 4 piles here, though. Take a look. This will be pile 1, 2, 3, 4, right? As always, thanks to those people who be liking, sharing, subscribing, commenting, getting involved. Thanks to those people who be booking those personal readings. I don't know if I said that last reading. I think I might have missed that. I was in a different space. It's like I had to make moves or something. There was a lot going on that day. But anyway, today is a whole nother day, and I'm feeling different sparks, so... there's going to be timestamps, right, in the description box where it says more. You just tap that, bop, and then there's another more. You just hit that again, boop, and then you're going to see timestamps. You're going to scroll up a little bit because there's going to be some jibber jabber and all that good stuff, prices, personal readings, whatever, email stuff. You're just going to scroll up past that. You're going to see little timestamps, and there's going to be a close-up. In case you can't really pick what you want right here, you're going to go over there, the timestamp, and you can see a close-up, and it's a lot prettier picture. I did a great job on it, so definitely go there and just look at it and admire my beauty of work I've done, because I definitely took my time on that picture, so, you know what I mean? All right, so look, you know what I mean? I'm going to give you the close-up, and I'm going to come back with pile 1, all right? And the question we're asking is, what do people assume about you? Boom, pile 1. So, pile 1, what assumptions do people make about you? Oh, that's an assumption? Okay. Okay, so maybe, Okay, so you could be this is funny too, you could be a Pisces, you could be a Virgo, you could be a Cancer. All right, that's what I got so far. But people assume that you're manipulative emotionally, right? They assume that you're emotionally manipulative and that you could be working through that. Like either you could be working through emotional manipulation or you could be the manipulator, one of the two, because you got a personal issue reaches resolution. So people assume that you're a person who either recognizes emotional manipulation or you're a person who engages in it, all right, for your own benefit. All right, they consider you as someone who has great dreams. So people assume you to have like a lot of great dreams and be very good at assessing situations. Yep, King of Swords. All right, could be an Aquarius or a Capricorn. All right, they think of you as being very intellectual. Yep, being able to cut through the bullshit. Okay, seeing through the bullshit. You know what I mean? They could see you also as being, assume you as, being either very codependent or being someone who's working towards growing something, creating something, needing other people for resources. So people assume like you may put up an illusion of not needing people or of needing people for stability, of needing people for validation maybe. They assume that maybe you need people for validation or that you disillusion people. So maybe you like put up a facade or put up an illusion of what things could be for people. Like maybe you're going in a certain direction. But I think of it being more so the other way. Like people feel like they can't pull bullshit on you. All right. They do assume that you're probably a little bit selfish or that other people are giving you stuff. So I'm starting to see like two stories. So some people could think that you're A person who cuts through a lot of bullshit direct, they may assume that maybe you have other options or that you're not with the fuckery, right? Then some assume that you're a person who needs other people for resources or is using other people for resources, that you keep an illusion around that, all right? And that you're very analytical, very smart, and know how to manipulate the situation to get what you want. So some people assume that you're either selfish or that other people are giving you things on the low, all right? They assume that you're an opportunist, you know what I mean? And that you are very skeptical of a lot of people, that you're able to see through them pretty much. So they assume that you always have this I am right energy. So you give off more of like a regal, in charge, dictator, like a leader type of vibe that can see through manipulation but can utilize it at their own will, all right? That you have fresh eyes. You can see the potential in things. Yeah, fresh eyes. Fresh eyes. Like you can see stuff very well. You can pick up on what other people are doing, what their intentions are. All right. It says spirit is saying that you are a queen or king. Yeah, so you come off with good values. People assume that you have good values and that you're constantly on leadership. So some people could feel like you're always stuck on the same issues, or they assume like you're stuck. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Like, that you don't see potential in a lot of things, or maybe that you overlook a lot of potential in things, or that you know the potential, but here it says you see the potential within it. So for some people assume that you don't see the potential. So maybe like, you know how like if somebody's trying to like work a business with you or they're trying to date you, but you kind of like maybe a little bit leery of them. It's that feeling like people feel like maybe you underestimate them, or that they assume that you maybe undervalue people or underappreciate people. I said underestimate. No, it's underappreciate or undervalue people. You know what I mean? Or that you undervalue yourself. But I doubt that, because they see you more as like royalty, like, you know what I mean? Because the King of Swords came out, which always gives me like dictatorship. He's the more cold, analytical aspect of the Emperor. So this is more like direct, you know what I mean? Communicative. I do think of others because it's Aquarius energy and Capricorn energy. So the intention is we do think of others, right? But at the same time, you're like, they're assuming that you're not, you know, working deals with other people. You're not, you know, I mean, you don't, like, it's your way and your way only, in a sense. It's like, and if I don't see potential in the way this is going, or I don't see value in this interaction, then I'm not there. And that's how people feel. They feel like you have healing energy, or that you're spiritually blessed, because it says the angels are healing you. So if people believe that you're spiritually blessed, or they assume that you're spiritually blessed, that you have a grander vision, all right? Yep, that you're content with yourself, that you're independent, all right? Nine of Cups, that you're solely fulfilled within yourself. But see, a Nine of Cups isn't really being fulfilled. So from the outside, people assume that you're all the way fulfilled, that you don't need others, that if you do use others, it's for their resources, or that you're using them for validation, or that you're using them to build towards something. So people assume that like everybody has their place in your life. Like you kind of like compartmentalize people in your life. That's the assumption, like, you know, that people don't just get to be near you or be next to you, that you see through them, that you see who they are, that you get their vibe, you know, like that you have good eyes, good intellect, good wisdom. You've learned a lot of life lessons. All right, you're skeptical of people. That's what they feel like. Yeah, that you're generous though. So people assume that you are generous, or that you're like, because we got Six of Pentacles, so they do assume that you either know your value, or they assume that, yeah, and they definitely assume that you know your value. So they definitely assume that you know your value, but they also assume that you're like a higher level than them. So people feel like you're royalty, like I said, I keep saying like royalty, like you have some type of regality or some type of status that people feel like they're not on your level. So you give off this vibe of like people don't feel like they're on your level for some reason. And they feel like you're getting, like maybe you're having like some type of success, because the Nine of Cups sometimes reminds me of trophies. So maybe you're having like a level of success. People assume that you're successful. You give off this authoritarian, dictator, domineering, but very direct, very straightforward, very intellectual, very like analytical, very good with talking, like, you know what I mean? But always thinking of the bigger scape or the bigger picture, you know what I mean? So it's like doing what's the higher good for everyone. That's what they assume about you. So I guess you really come off as like a leader. You know what I mean? Like, you know, definitely like a leader or a teacher or something like that. Someone like that. Someone, maybe even an investigator. Someone who can see through like bullshit and manipulation. That's what people assume about you. Like you're a no nonsense type of woman, type of guy. What else? They could see you as assume you to be impatient, like not waiting for things to show themselves. You kind of like already make a clear decision, like, yeah, this is how I see you, or this is how I see this situation, and that's that, clear cut, no games. It says, are you questioning your beliefs, or are you questioning if your beliefs are yours or what you've been told? Church. So people could see you either as being very traditional, you know what I mean, or being very inquisitive, like asking a lot of questions. You know, they see you as being very intellectual, so I guess they see you as open-minded as well. Or they could see you as being very traditional and not open-minded. I would think of more not open-minded, because the King of Swords is kind of like, how I see it is how I see it. So that's that. You know what I mean? You know, are you seeing signs that your life are about to shift? So people assume that your life is about to shift and that you're questioning what you've been told now. So this is the assumption that people assume that you're shifting, you're becoming either maybe more spiritual, because the church here makes me think of spirituality. So maybe you're becoming a lot more spiritual, all right, and a lot more wise, because there's the owl here. So you could be becoming, people are assuming that you're very wise, or that you see things from a higher perspective, or that you're looking when other people aren't. You know what I mean? That you have, either you're changing some type of beliefs, or that you have strong traditional beliefs. So there's the assumption of that, all right? One more. What do people assume about you? Oh, we got two. That you're very passionate, that you have spiritual gifts, or that you're very spiritually tapped in, that you may not be aware of, or that you don't use. But also they could be thinking of you as being very bold with the way that you communicate. So you could be very passionate or very attractive. They assume that you know this, or they assume that that you're a traveler, or that you're very experienced with some type of art, maybe like martial arts, or like some type of art, skill, ability that's God given. So they feel like you're very good at it. You could be selling it, or you could be like pushing it, broadcasting it, speaking it. So you could be like a pastor, a teacher, a preacher, like a speaker, you know what I mean? But you're very passionate, charismatic, and they feel like you don't recognize your value. Not that you don't recognize your value. They feel like you don't recognize what you have to offer. So you could be like around friends, people like that, but you have maybe they see you a little bit higher, because that's what they see you as a Six of Pentacles, a King of Swords, Nine of Cups, you know what I mean, and a Nine of Pentacles in reverse. Even though it's in reverse, they kind of feel like you're still working towards independence, but they feel like emotionally you're resolved. So people are assuming that you're doing okay, but maybe you're like really pushing yourself out there, or you're not using your gifts or your talents, your God-given talents in a way that you could. You know, you're very passionate, very fiery, but maybe you're not exerting yourself or pushing yourself in the way that you could. You're coming off as more charming and, like, you know, free-spirited, more free-spirited, as opposed, I don't know, I wonder why they assume that, because they assume you'd be cold at first, but I guess maybe after they get to know you, then they see you as like inconsistent in a way, and like forcing situations where you're not going to stay present, if that makes sense. So I don't know, people assume that you would be very passionate and very forceful, very blunt, so, and very charismatic, very outgoing to them. So they think of you more free-spirited wise. You could be a Sagittarius, or you could be a Leo, Aries, Sagittarius. All right. And I just want to get you some advice. We'll see what advice comes from this, because I forgot to bring the angel guidance cards out. So what advice we'll have? What's the advice? Are you giving yourself credit for taking care of others so positively? That's your advice. So let me give you signs one more time. You could be a Cancer, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, a Pisces, a Virgo, Aquarius, a Capricorn, Sagittarius. All right. So pile one, that was your reading. Thanks for watching. This your boy Noonie, and it's Leo in the third house. Boom. Pile two. So pile two, what do people assume about you? So you could be a Cancer, it could be a Leo, could be a Scorpio, could be a Aries, could be a Scorpio, could be a Cancer. These could be the people, because there's so many of the same signs. So you could be in here, or this could be the people. All right, but okay, and it's the energy that they assume about you. So people assume that you're very passionate, very secretive, but very sexual at the same time. Very emotionally, and I was about to say evolved, like very passionate. All right, people assume that you have some type of either hidden desires or some type of secret desires that you're devoted to. It may feel like some people assume that you have lovers that are maybe hidden. All right. They assume that you're very good at handling problems or creating solutions, that you're very good at. Some people assume that you're very spiritual because it looks like these kids are praying together. So people assume that you're very spiritual. All right. They assume that you're very determined, that you'll stay and fight. All right. That your faith will bring things together. So people assume that you're very devoted to something, to some type of hidden passion, cause. All right. Some hidden desire. All right, that you follow your own bliss. This is the assumption that you follow your own bliss, that maybe you're very creative, very outgoing, like you take risk, because we have the fall here. So people assume that you don't listen to other people's criticisms or other people's opinions when you do what you want to do. All right, yeah, they assume that you don't take sides, that you're maybe independent, or yeah, you're a person who takes action. Like that's what a lot of people assume, that you don't have too many insecurities, that emotionally you're sound within yourself. You know what I mean? So a lot of people feel like you're very confident. That's what they really feel like. They feel like you guard your emotions and the things that you really feel like. So that's the assumption, is that you're very confident, you're very protective of yourself and others and the people that you care about, but you don't listen or care about other people's opinions or judgments when you take risk or when you take action. All right, it could feel like I said, with something, maybe a previous, maybe you don't let your devotions or your desires be known, like you have like some type of hidden desires, like you don't, that's probably what you protect. That's the assumption, like I'm not telling people my secrets or my intentions or what I'm gonna do, you know what I mean? Like I'm not about to give you that information. And then, and like it's an insecurity around with people, but like you're secure within yourself. So maybe the insecurity is like, if I tell you all my secrets or my ideas or my plans, y'all may ruin them. And I have a lot of desire and a lot of belief in what I'm gonna do, so not going to tell you. You know what I mean? So people assume that you have this going on and that you're very good at solutions or clearing out problems. Like it doesn't bother you. You just go through it anyway. Right? Some people could assume that maybe you they assume that they don't know why they're in your life. Like they maybe don't. I don't know if that makes sense. They don't assume like they know why they're in your life, or they assume that you don't know why you're here. So like it's kind of assumption like you're just like out here. If that makes sense. Like they feel like you're just like out here. Like you don't know why you're here. Okay, we could be Capricorn, Aquarius again. They think of you, they assume that you're very logical, very clear, very secure, very controlled, very poised. All right, and very lucky. You could be a Taurus, you could be an Aquarius. All right, you could be a Leo or a Scorpio. Again, I got fixed energy. So they think of you as a person who's able to process change, or has a lot of lucky opportunities or possibilities that come in. So they assume that you have security. Could be monetary. I guess maybe you dress very well, because it does like, it gives off like good feminine vibes, or like very, it's more of like a go-getter vibe, but it's not super, I mean, it is ambitious, but it's kind of like my desires, my drive, what really gets me going is not known to you. So like your angle is hard to pick up. So people just kind of really have to assume about you. You know what I mean? They assume that you have logic and a reason and a purpose for why you're doing what you're doing, because it's like you're very controlled, very poised, and it seems like you know where you're going. And with the King of Swords, this is someone who's very intellectual, someone who's very good at problem solving, someone who's very good at seeing the truth of situations, and very good at communicating what they want or desire. You know, it's like a matter-of-factly or very direct type of energy. Like you can't confuse what I'm saying here. It's very logical, and what I'm saying, it's like almost like very reserved. You know what I mean? Like there's no room for imagination with you. That's the assumption. Now, whether it is or it isn't, that's what people assume. Like there's not, I mean, like they have to imagine, but it's like they don't, there's like not much to the imagination. It's almost like you're an open book. You know what I mean? But like you don't like divulge a lot, if that makes sense. So it's like you don't divulge a lot, but you're an open book. So people feel like if they were to ask, or they assume that if they were to ask, that you would just give them the truth, like a harsh truth in a sense, directly. You know what I mean? People assume that, like I said, you have abundance or security or money or something here, like you're always open to change, or that luck is always on your side. There's an assumption that things always go well for you, and probably because of the fall, and the fall represents taking action or taking risk even against other people's judgments. But with the wheel here, it's that energy of abundance and luck going in your way. So Lady Luck is on your side. So people assume that you're very lucky, that you have a lot of possibilities or opportunities, that you're very abundant, that things just fall into place for you, you know, that you're very secure, either financially or just like housing or security wise. Like the fundamental things are very much anchored for you. Like you have your own level of control of your environment. All right. So people assume that, and that you're a good ruler or a good leader. Like you have leadership qualities or leadership abilities. You know what I mean? There's the assumption that that's what you have going on. You know, people assume that you have motivation and that you express yourself very well. They could assume that you have like sexual partners because of the devotion in reverse, and we have the sacral chakra, like, you know, like that you have some type of hidden sexual partners or some type of hidden sexuality or sex going on or something of that sort, and that you're connected. So people assume that you connect to higher realms because that spirituality thing I was telling you in the very beginning, because it says that feather, how are you connecting to the higher realms? How are you connecting to the higher realms recently? So people are assuming that you're connecting to higher realms in some way. I was going to say through like sex, or like people assume that you're making a difference through like being driven or creative or being very ambitious. For some, they could feel like you're expressing a lot more sexuality or coming from a better place of expressing your sensuality, if that makes sense too. So I don't know what that means, but that's what they assume. All right, and people assume that you put something to a much needed end. So this could be like an addiction or something. Like they feel like you've revamped something, all right? Like you put some type of old patterns, behaviors, or like maybe addictions to the past, and that you started a new cycle. So there's an assumption that things are going well, they're falling into place for you, and that it's looking up, but you're having something, you're keeping your desires or what you really want or what you're really devoted to hidden. So that's the assumption, all right? So let me give you one more for advice, and we're going to close this up. What's the assumption? What's the advice? Are you questioning if your beliefs are yours or what you've been told? So questioning your beliefs, questioning what you've been told, and finding your own beliefs is going to be the advice for this reading. All right. So pile 2, that was your reading. Thanks for watching. This your boy Noonie, and that's Leo in the 3rd house. Boom. Pile 3. So, pile 3, what do people assume about you? Okay, so people assume that you're very tapped in. All right, that you could be tapped into like earthly. Let's give you signs real quick. You could be an Aquarius, you could be a Taurus, you could be a Pisces. That's so far. All right, more come out probably when I do the tarot. All right, but people assume that you're very good at negotiating or making deals, or maybe getting your needs met, like security wise, like financially wise. Like people feel like you're very good with money, right? They feel like you're very good with having a plan or building a plan. All right. Some people feel like they assume that you're like monkeying around or something, or like you're a free spirit. Cause I got monkey and horse. All right. Monkeys are usually somebody who's kind of non-traditional, but they can be traditional. So you could probably go off the vibe, or people assume like you can be traditional, but maybe you're not taking things seriously. That right now you could be in like a wild pony stage, or like a stud stage. Even if you're a woman, like a stud stage. All right. Like you're very tapped into your own sensuality. So people assume like you're very proud of your body, or like you're very comfortable in your body. They assume that you have friends or like a large group of people, network. All right. Like maybe you have like a big social media, because people are like assume like you're very good with your hands, or like you're very skilled, tapped in spiritually. They feel like, you feel like you're always juggling opportunities or always negotiating. All right, they feel like you could be overgiving or emotionally manipulative, like very loving yet very dishonest. Some people could assume that you're married and being a cheater. Like they feel like you could be like devoted and possibly being a cheater or something. Or like some people could, because I got 3 cups here too. Yeah, and 7 of swords. So, so people could assume, you could be a Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio. This is usually a Cancer. We got fixed energy here. So people could assume that you're going through some type of previous karmic cycle that you're still exercising, or like you haven't grown up. So they can assume like maybe you're having like a heyday, or like you're having hang-ups. All right, like you're kind of maybe living in nostalgia. I don't know why there's an assumption. There's an assumption like you're deceiving yourself about your potential, or about maybe people feel like you're deceiving yourself about the potential of like friendships, or like going out, or like enjoying yourself, or they feel like they assume that you just work. That's what it is. People assume that you don't go out, that you don't have a life. They assume that you don't have a nightlife, or like friends. They assume like you're a loner, but they assume that you have a community. How is that? People assume that you're like very loving, but like manipulative, and not really open to sharing. Or that you're like, you express your emotions to others. Like I don't know. People assume that you have other people though. and that you're just working. So why is that? I don't know why is that. They assume that you're maybe some people assume that you're having a baby or that you're pregnant. And they assume that you're like, you let people go if they're not aligned with you, that you'll walk away. Some people assume that you're juggling somebody. That's where I really want to pick up. Like, people assume that you're juggling somebody. Like, all you do is get money. All you do is maybe, I was about to say, like, smoke weed or something. Or like, all you do is like, enjoy yourself, or like, kind of like sit alone and work. People feel like you need to have ease. So there's an assumption that maybe you're having an easy way, an easy going, or like you're trying to find ease in a stressful situation, like things aren't really for certain. So people are assuming that you're trying to build a plan or create a plan to make things go smoothly, and that you're just kicking up dust. People assume that you take care of your feet. What does that mean? Ew, who does that? And that you're at ease with life. So some people assume that things are going like up and down for you, but you're making a plan and that you're at ease with life. So some people assume that you just have things under control, but they feel like you're still experiencing previous behaviors, or you're stuck in some type of holding pattern that you haven't quite moved forward yet. I done jumped into this deck. That you're not listening to your instincts. All right, they could be feeling like you're not healing, but you're getting a lot of attention. This is the assumption that you're not healing, but you're getting a lot of attention. That there's some type of obstacle that you can't get over, or that you can't release. It could be a fire sign, or Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, or this could be like just someone who's very attracted to you, or that you can't build up your confidence, that you're still waiting for people to come in and help you, or that you're waiting for people to show you that they're worthy, or people to show you their value. So people assume that you're like very, very confident and can't be like tied down, that you keep your options open. People assume that you keep your options open. They assume that you just work and get things done, but you're very secretive about your intentions, that maybe you have a lot of people around you, that maybe you get a lot of attention, that you're very attractive. They assume that you're very attractive and that you don't like to work with other people, that you're very independent, that you're always looking for something new. This is the assumption. The assumption is that you're going to always be looking for something new. All right. And people assume that they have to make this situation work with you. So like if it's a business, or if it's like, so people assume that they have to do things your way. That's what it is. People assume that they have to do things your way, and that you're very crafty, or very analytical, or very secretive with your motives. You know what I mean? Like, they don't know your motives. So the assumption is that they have to like wait to see what happens. Like, they have to kind of like wait on the things to like show themselves. So the assumption is that maybe you'll have other secret lovers or other people around while they're waiting to see where this is going. You know what I mean? And maybe not feeling like they can overcome all the other opportunities or all the other options that you have. Some people feel like they can't inspire you to be very creative or any more motivated, but that you have this hidden passion or hidden desire. It's kind of like power too, but it's like you have this passion and desire that you're not actually showing people. Like, you have a skill and a talent or a passion, creative passion, that you're not showing people. So people assume like you have it, but you don't express it. So you can kind of feel like you're somebody, but you're not like out there like that. Like, maybe, I don't know, it's like kind of like people feel like you have a creative or a wild side or a free-spirited side, but like all you do is stay very reserved, working, grounded, real humble, meek-like, but they know that you get a lot of attention. So there's the assumption that a lot of stuff is going well for you, all right, or like a lot of people are like, it's more so like your money is good and that you have people, you know what I mean? And that's what people assume, like you have people. So they see you as like attractive, nice body. They think that you have people and that you're very deceptive with your intentions, or that you don't always let your cards on the table. All right, they assume that you don't have a real like life, that you don't really go anywhere. You're just kind of like home alone, or that you have some type of partner, or that you're married to someone who you're not really like showing. That's the assumption, that you have some type of relationship that you're not really showing. Yep. It says, are you taking the time to sort through the small details more closely? So yeah, people feel like you're very analytical, very, very good at negotiating or getting your needs met. That's what the assumption is, and that you're intuitively guided towards where you need to go, or that you intuitively know how to negotiate or how to present things in a way to get your needs met. That's what people assume. So you must be like a wordsmith, or they just feel like you're very crafty, you know what I mean, like very good at like, getting what you desire. So that's what, and Queen of Wands is that type of person too. She draws in her desires. She is the most desirable queen in the deck. So they do assume you to be very desirable and that possibly there are other people around. So there's an assumption like that, like people won't be the only one. And that maybe, the experiences with you would be like the same experience they've had previously, or like when they were younger, or like when they were like stuck in some type of cycle, old pattern, old behaviors. Like they feel like that's what you bring up. Like I've been here before type of energy. That's what people assume about you. Like, oh, I think I've seen this already. I've seen her or him, this type of energy. I don't know. You know what I mean? I think they got other people around. I'm assuming that they got other people, that they may be cheating on a husband or a wife or something like that. That's what people assume, that you got a large community or a large network of people around, and that you're being seen, or that that you have large friends, or like people are giving with you, and you're very connected and entrenched in it, and that's how they feel. Like, yo, you got other things going on, and you make people, they assume that they would have to like put in a lot of work without knowing where things are going, and that probably bothers them a lot. All right, because they feel like you'd be very like nitpicky or sort through the details. So here's your final advice. We got, who in your life brings negative energy that you need to remove soon? That's your advice. So you could be a Sagittarius, Aries, Leo, Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio, a Taurus, or Pisces. Or these could be the people who feel this way about you, all right? Or who are assuming this about you. Oh, you could be an Aquarius here too, okay? So, Pile 3, that was your reading. Thanks for watching. This your boy Noonie, and this Leo in the 3rd house. Boom. Pile 4. So, Pile 4. What do people assume about you? So you could be a Virgo, you could be a Cancer, you could be a Capricorn. Ooh. Yep. Okay, that makes sense. So people feel like some people could assume that you're healing from some type of lie, or some type of self-deception. They feel like you're healing, or that you're finally coming to terms with something, that you're finally getting your just due. Some people could assume that you're finally being gentle to yourself, or that you're very kind. They assume that you're very relaxed, very, very patient. Some people assume that you're a person of service, or that you're a person who gives to other people, or that maybe other people take advantage of you because you're very gentle, very kind. Like people lie to you. There's an assumption that people lie to you, or that you're ashamed of some things. Like there's an assumption that you're ashamed of maybe being too hard on yourself, or being too hard on others, you know what I mean, or not knowing what to do. So some people assume that you don't really know what you want to do, or where you want to go, or what you want to do, or they assume this, like they assume that you're trying to find love, or that you're starting to value every moment, like every moment's a new opportunity, or every moment is a new you. So people assume that you're definitely healing from some type of like maybe betrayal, or some type of manipulation where someone got something from you, or someone got over on you. It's something like that, like you've gotten your just due after other people have taken advantage of your services. So people are assuming that you're healing from something, or not feeling worthy, or feeling abused, or something like that. Like people assume that you're coming into some type of awakening and acceptance, because the heart chakra is here and the crown chakra is here. So this is about like listening to spirit, listening to your intuition, and trusting in how you feel. So people assume that you have some type of spiritual connection that makes you listen to your feelings. So people really feel like you're very intuitive, like you know what to do for people, like you're of service, but they assume that you get used a lot, like you get taken advantage of a lot, and that you usually feel ashamed for either being very gentle or being very kind. All right. People assume that you like to immerse yourself into connections, or like to immerse yourself into the truth. Or some people assume that you like immerse yourself into lies, or like into like you can't trust people. So people assume that you're manifesting new beginnings, and that you're staying focused and being very grateful, but you're undecided about where to go. Yeah, that you're very responsible. So people assume that you're very responsible, you're very open to new possibilities, or that you're not open to new possibilities unless people feel equal, or unless they feel, in-person reverse. So people assume that you don't know your value. They assume that you don't see how attractive that you are, or how abundant that you are. That's what people assume. They assume you don't know your worth. I was saying that earlier. Yeah, people don't assume you know your worth because we got the Empress in reverse. All right. Some people could assume that maybe you had like unplanned pregnancy, or like you're having kids, or you're something like that. Because we got the Five of Pentacles here and the Two of Swords sometimes for me, because it usually be about something that's not being seen, a truth that's not being spoken, or sometimes it could be about not trusting how you feel. So people can assume that you don't trust how you feel, or you don't trust your feelings. You know what I mean? It's kind of like around that self-deception. You know what I mean? It's that the truth in reverse is kind of that feeling. Now, some people have assumed that your energy has upgraded, that you'll climb anything, that you're very ambitious, or that you'll, because we got the goat here, and that's usually a Capricorn trait. You know what I mean? So your energy has upgraded and you've climbed away from toxic habits and toxic people. You are the GOAT. So that's what people are assuming, that you've gotten away from people who would take advantage of you, but yet you don't know your value or your beauty. So you could be a Libra, you could be a Taurus, you could be a Scorpio, you could be an Aries. All right, some people feel like you've learned to release, or that you've come into some type of energy of redemption. That's what I was feeling like, or a revelation, all right? That you're very sentimental. That's what people assume, that you're very sentimental. That you're very nostalgic, like you like to hold on to memories or pleasant times. People assume that you're not open to new possibilities, that you kind of linger in the past, all right? That you maybe you're having some type of revolution from the past, or revelation from the past, like you're starting to see things or have epiphanies now, and that you're maybe not feeling worthy because of those, or that you're starting to heal some type of ancestral patterns, connections, behaviors that you've had. There's an assumption that you're starting to clear that up, that you're starting to come into like this yin-yang energy, which is a balanced energy. So that is like a Libra trait, all right? And that you're taking time to engage in your senses and create. So people assume that you're coming out of like a hard period of maybe where people took advantage of you, and now you're becoming a lot more loving of yourself, or a lot more accepting of your beliefs or your feelings. Like you're starting to trust your feelings, and you're no longer on the fence. Or for some, they can assume that you're on the fence still about like trusting your feelings. Like you don't know maybe if you're being too critical, or if you're being too analytical, or if you're being too decisive, direct. So people can assume that maybe that's why you be very gentle, or that you're very gentle. You know what I mean? Like you want to be cherished. So they can assume that you want love and affection, which most people do. I don't see why that'd be an issue. I don't think that's an issue. I think they just assume that that's how you are. Like you're very loving, very healing, very nurturing, and very kind, and that people take advantage of you. So the assumption is that you don't know your own value, you don't know your own worth, you don't know your own beauty. And they assume that you just don't get that. That's the best part about it, I guess. Because with this Virgo card coming out first, this Demeter, this is usually about people taking advantage of you, and you get what you want, but it's after the expense of other people getting what they desired first. So that's what people assume about you, that you don't know your value, that other people are getting more from you than you're getting from them, and that you're very kind and very gentle, and that you don't really trust in your feelings, or you're indecisive about picking a side. You know what I mean? Or that you're maybe having like a fear or lack-based mindset. People feel like you stick to like what you know, what's tried and true. All right, like you kind of like hold on to like inopportune moments, like you're not really open to change. You know what I mean? But then some people assume that you are the change, like you are going through some type of change. So they're assuming that you're handling responsibilities and you're coming to the end of a difficult period or difficult cycle with this Ten of Wands, and that you're very dedicated, or that you're very perseverant, all right? But you just don't see your own value. You don't see how lucky or how blessed you are. And if people assume that you don't know how well things are going for you, and that how blessed you are, or how comforted, or how stable or secure you are, or how experienced, so how experienced you are, people will assume that you don't know this about yourself, all right? People assume that they assume that you hold yourself back from expressing freely what's on your mind and what you really think. Like they feel like you're very gentle, very like nurturing, loving, you know what I mean? And that you're worthy. People assume that you're very worthy of the things that you're asking for, but you may not feel that way. So people just feel like you don't see your value. That's really all this is really all around. Like they feel like you're awakening up to that, but they're like, you should have been seen that, sis. You should have been seen that, bro. You know what I mean? It's kind of like that. People assume like you should have been knew this. All right. Yeah, people assume that you can get really apprehensive really quick. So they assume like, Oh, okay, I get it. Okay, so people assume that because of what you've been through, that in a heartbeat you could be very apprehensive towards them. So like it could be very cool, and then all of a sudden they feel like you can be very tense or very like protective around them. So that's what people assume, like you don't really trust people, like you're working through that, like you're healing on that, but because of previous experience of being taken advantage of and hurt or not knowing your own value, that you're kind of apprehensive when things go a little awry. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't take much to get you kind of riled up or get you defensive. That's what people assume. So let me give you one more as advice and we're gonna close this up. Let's get some advice. What kind of advice could we get? What we got? I took 2. I can't take 3. Here's advice. Are you hiding a secret you feel? Are you hiding a secret you fear you think will come to light? So I guess you have a secret that you need to be paying attention to. All right. Anyway, let me give you signs one more time. We got Virgo, Cancer, Capricorn, Aries, Scorpio, Libra, Taurus. All right. So you could be these signs, or these could be the signs who are assuming these things about you. All right. So, Pow 4. That was your reading. Thanks for watching. This your boy Noonie, and it's Leo in the 3rd house.